DTM Priscilla Dias. Who are you? Who are you, DTM Priscilla Dias?
July 2011, I was standing at the doorstep of my parents' place with our 7-year-old daughter and a suitcase. My father, a simple man with a huge sense of humor, answered the door. He looked at me through the grill door, looked at our daughter, the suitcase, scrolled again, and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" I was in no mood for his jokes. After a long flight, a road journey, and a bladder full, about to be burst, he had better let us in. But no, my father kept saying, "Who are you?" Finally, my mother came to our rescue and allowed us inside the house. Now that questioning, "Who are you?" did not come to an end. And I found my daughter titter every time my father asked, "Who are you?" I found my mother explaining to my father, "This is our daughter, and that is our granddaughter." Now that was not something that I could titter about. So late that night, I asked my mother, and what she told me was extremely disturbing. My father was suffering from Alzheimer's disease for the last 2 years. What is Alzheimer's disease? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, returning to Kuwait, I started to research on this. And 10 years later, today, I am researching once again. Alzheimer's disease, according to the the Bright Focus Foundation, that is heavily involved in researching the disease, defines Alzheimer's as an irreversible, I repeat, an irreversible degeneration of the brain that causes disruption in memory, cognition, personality, and other functions that eventually lead to the death of the person due to brain failure. In other words, it simply means a disease that causes problem with memory, thinking, and behavior. During that 1 month of stay at my parents' place, I observed my father suffering from memory loss, confusion with time and location. There was a point when we lost him because he went to another building thinking he lived there. He did not remember where he placed his things. He withdrew with fear when people came to visit him. He had difficulty separating his big toe from the rest of his toes while wearing his slippers, and mood swings. My father exhibited nearly all the symptoms of Alzheimer's, and those got worse with the progression of the disease. Friends, these are the noticeable, outwardly, symptoms of Alzheimer's. What happens on the inside? Clumps of proteins start to grow on the brain. And the protein strands then start to twist around and suffocate these brain cells, which eventually die, resulting in the shrinkage of the brain. Now, I had to know what is it that had caused this disease to my father, who had failed, who was struggling to recognize his own kin. And I'm sure that sounds really very scary. We all would like to know if we are at risk of suffering from Alzheimer's. So let's have a look at what causes Alzheimer's. If you are 65 years and above, you are likely to have Alzheimer's. More females than males suffer from Alzheimer's disease. Genes account to only 0.1% cases. Family history, the risk increases if you have more than one more family member with the disease. Head trauma, the risk is greater. Brain abnormalities increase with the progression of the disease. 14% of the cases are attributed to smoking. And uncontrolled high blood pressure is the main cause for Alzheimer's disease. My father suffered from brain strokes, multiple of them. And by the time he succumbed to the disease, his brain had shrunk considerably. The question then is, why my father? According to Bright Focus Foundation, 50 million people suffer from Alzheimer's disease. And that number will rise up to 131 million in 2050. And most likely, I will be among those millions. Because the risk increases when more than one member of the family suffers from the disease. Recently, my mother had a brain stroke. And now, whenever I call her, she repeatedly asks me, "What day is it today?" I fear the day she will say, "Who are you?" Well, there is no cure for this disease, at least no cure, because it is irreversible. But whatever is available can only prolong the onset or the progression of this disease. Now, we all know that prevention is better than cure, don't we? So following NHS UK, let's start eating healthy. Exercise, stay fit, play music, play brain teaser games, expand your social circle, and stay away from smoking and alcohol, and avert this disease called Alzheimer's. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.